Five. All right. Welcome to the first annual Division 2 Fantasy FA Cup draw. Super happy to have Division 2 going this year. I think it's going to be super fun to have promotion, relegation, and fantasy. Just adds another wrinkle that's going to make fantasy super fun. So lots of credit goes to those guys who made up that division and unselfishly said, I'm starting from the bottom and I'll make it to the top. So big shout out to Patrick, Scott, Adam, Jacob, Zach, Austin, Dylan, Riel, Daniel, Mike, Devin, and Andrew. In that order, that's the order of the table right now. Ooh, excuse me. Patrick has a bye. Patrick Van B. Scott Parsons with a bye. Adam Scanlon and Jacob, friend of Sandy, whose last name I do not know. Those are the guys who have byes. So congratulations to those guys already in the next round of the FA Cup. All right, let's get right into it then. I've got the names in a bowl here, in the dog bowl, as you can see there. You can kind of see them, and we're fresh off the Division 1 draw. So Kieran's here to provide a little bit of an analysis, talk about the cup draw, and we're just gonna see what happens.
And also potentially get some early scouting for who might be my competition next year.
I decided to have Kieran on because he is the leading candidate to join these, most of these gentlemen in Division 2 next year. So that should be fun. All right, drawn at home in the first round of the FA Cup, Austin Rebello. Now, Austin, Southern Ontario boy, so that is huge to have a tie at home. That's going to be a lot of travel for whoever's visiting. There's not many other members down there representing Southern Ontario, although I guess we do have a couple more in this draw or in this league. So that could be huge for Austin, who has never been much of a fantasy player. I'm actually in 2 other fantasy leagues with him, and he's kind of the whipping boy across most fantasy leagues. So I'm actually surprised to see him up in 6th place, because fantasy football and basketball this year has not been pretty for Austin Rebello. In Vanger we trust FC. And there you go. With a name like that, you're probably not doing too well in fantasy. All right. And the draw is in, and it's going to be 2 Arsenal fans going at it. It's Austin Rebello at home to Riel Major. Riel Major, famous for his fantasy beliefs in youth. He's a big-time keeper league guy. He'll draft people who aren't even in the league yet. They're so young. So I can only assume that's what Riel is doing with his team this year. You know, I think he was one of the first ones to own Fabio Silva. I think he actually owned him all year, even until Jimenez got hurt, just because Riel sees teenagers, and he absolutely you get sucked into the young age in terms of fantasy players. So, Riel's, he's an eighth this year. Kenora soccer tournament warrior. We've had some good times with him, Kieran, and we actually won Kenora tournament championship with Riel, performing slide tackles all over the park all weekend long. And he actually slept in his car all weekend as well, put a mattress in there. So that's another funny story about Riel. He had bananas.
And he somehow still had better breakfasts ready than us who were in the cabin.
Yeah, he literally lived out of his car the entire weekend. And it was basically a mini motorhome. All right. Yeah. So an all Arsenal fan tie there, Austin Rebello at home to Riel Major. That'll be a long trip from Kenora all the way down to Mississauga, Ontario. Kieran, FA Cup trips, they're a long away trip, right? Like that. Riel going away against a team that's higher than him in the table? This is going to be quite the uphill battle for Riel. Do you think Austin does the business at home, or is this Riel's chance at a bit of a cup set here?
Well, I think this is where Riel's faith in youth might help him out. The young guys, they'll be ready to go with a little rest, I think, still young before their prime. And I think they'll be ready to go. So I think that could help them. And I could see a cup set happening for sure.
Yeah. And in a competition where lots of teams do play their young players, Riel's been playing the young players all season. So he could have a slight advantage in that aspect as well.
Yeah, they'll be ready for the big occasion.
All right, moving right along, we've got playing at home in the next tie here. We have, and it's Zachary Hino. Zach Hino. So Zach Hino playing and he's not much of a fantasy guy. He'd rather watch YouTube videos on how to take apart an alarm clock until about 5 o'clock in the morning, or YouTube videos on what are those like the pleasing things, like oddly satisfying.
ASMR.
Yeah, oddly satisfying videos until about 5 in the morning. Of course, my college roommate, and we were actually on. By the time I got into placement, we were on polar opposite schedules. I was getting up at 5 to go to my placement, and he was actually up until 5, just doing whatever, playing Fortnite, doing God knows what on his laptop. That was the slowest laptop I've ever seen. And so I would get up, and it would be like, have you seen Bugs Bunny, where the Wile E. Coyote's punching in at the same time as the dog's punching out there, the sheepdog? Yeah. Morning, Zach. Night, Liam. And he's going to bed. And then I'd get home from placement, and he'd just be waking up at around 4 in the afternoon. So there's a nice little story about Zach. But yeah, all in all, not a very good fantasy player. I tried giving him some tips at the start of the season, although I haven't been in contact with him for a while. So I'm glad to see he's still up there in 5th place. So it's definitely, I'd say he's a little cushy in 5th place, but he is the highest seed in this draw. All right, we got Zach Kino at home in this round, and this is a tough away fixture. We got Zach Kino at home to Devin Hoyer, 11th place in Division 2. So this is quite the trip. Devin Hoyer's been to Kenora a time or two, so it'll be familiar stomping ground. So that might help him out with the away trip. But I'm not sure how much he remembers of it. He was drunk the whole time, every time he's been there. So that might be a tough one for him, having to go back in a sober manner and actually try to get a result away at a tough place like Zach Kino's home on Park Street there. Any thoughts on this one, Kieran? This would be quite the cup set, 11 versus 5. We see a lot of 12-5 upsets in March Madness. That's one of the big ones. This is, of course, completely different, but hey, you never know.
Yeah. I know Dev talks a lot of big game about his fantasy managing skills, but judging by his position, he probably can't back it up. And even though Zach isn't a great manager himself, as you've said, he is in 5th. He has done the business to get himself up there, and maybe he has listened to a couple of your tips, and maybe he'll be ready for this one. So I'm actually skeptical of the upset on this one.
Yeah, Zach is the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer of fantasy managers, if you will. I have no idea what I'm doing, but somehow my team is doing well. Devin Hoyer, by the way, on a 4-game win streak, he tells me that, and his total points, he's only got 19 points, 1 point out of last place. So this guy was sitting at 7 points 4 weeks ago and was probably completely adrift of the league. Now he's only 2 points off the safety. So if cup sets are going to happen, this is kind of what you look out for. A top team who's maybe resting on his laurels a little bit against a hungry bottom team that's on a good run of form. I think we could be looking at a cup set here, and I'm actually going to back Devin in this one.
Yeah, that's a good point, honestly.
All right, the last 4 draws in the hat. Playing at home, we have Dylan Verardo.
Ooh.
Now, Dylan joining the fantasy league this year. He's another one who's been to Kenora, been drunk a lot in Kenora. Played a little bit of soccer while he was at it. Fellow teacher Dylan. So got a lot of respect for him. Obviously, doesn't look like he's too great in fantasy. He is he's comfortably mid-table. He's in 7th place. I know Marco's chirped his knowledge a lot, but I've seen Marco with much worse finishes than 7th place in fantasy. So I think Dylan can take a bit of pride in that. All right. Rounding out, playing away at Dylan. So a trip to Thunder Bay. Absolutely no idea where Dylan lives, but it's in Thunder Bay. Oh, and it is his good mate, Andrew Austin.
Ooh.
I'm not even sure if Austin's his real last name or if it's his Facebook last name. Do you have any idea, Kieran?
I couldn't tell you either, to be honest.
We're going to go with Andrew Austin, Durzendino. Everyone just calls him Durs, so I only know him by Durs. And they're good friends, been, junior Spartans to Kenora. They've done a lot together. So to Frankie's, yeah, exactly. So this is this is quite a big matchup, and there's going to be a lot of pride on display there for Dylan Verardo at home to Andrew Austin. A short little away trip. It's a Thunder Bay derby. It's a Frankie's Pizzeria derby. And of course, that leaves us with 2 names left in the draw, and not much traveling is going to be done in this one either, but we'll see who's at home here. And at home is going to be Daniel Correa. Now, that's Kieran's former college roommate, Daniel Correa.
Yep.
Of course, my former center back partner at Laurentian. We had a hell of a year in my 5th year there. Loved playing with him. Just a fantastically skilled player. Now, I must say, Daniel, for all your good qualities, your personality does not strike me as a great fantasy, the type that would be great at fantasy. He's a little more easygoing, a little bit laissez-faire, a little goofy. So I'm not super surprised. I mean, his fantasy team name is Suck My Pepe. Not super surprised to hear that, actually, to be honest. And
seems right up his alley.
Not super surprised to see him in 9th place in the Division 2. He was my favorite for relegation. I guess not relegation, to finish last in Division 2. So I guess he's mildly over exceeding my expectations. Do you have any fun roommate stories of Daniel?
I mean, probably a pretty similar roommate to Zach in the fact that he'd be up until ungodly hours and then wake up in the middle of the day when I'm coming home from a class and morning Chocho. Oh, morning Kieran. Yeah, it's actually 2:00. Oh, really? Oh, geez, I better get ready for class then.
There you go. Yeah, Spad Boys, of course.
Great guy though.
And of course, Daniel Correa, resident of Burlington, I believe.
Yes, Burlington.
Burlington. So it'll be a short away trip for Michael Wiebel, who is the last name out of the draw. A little Mississauga to Burlington action. And Michael Wiebel, big Chelsea fan. Really sucks because very nice guy. I'm also in a fantasy football league with him. He's done a little bit better than Austin Urbello, one of his good friends there. But yeah, he is a Chelsea fan, so you never know if that's going to be playing on his mind, and that could be why he's down in 10th place. I'm pretty sure he drafted just about every Chelsea player under the sun. And I believe he's one of the ones who staked his starting goalkeeper position on Kepa. I think he was the Kepa Caballero rider. So I wonder if he's haven't seen his team in a while. You don't know if I'm sure, hopefully he's gotten a starting goalie since then, but if not, it could be a little bit rough. And he is in 10th.
No, that's an ugly situation.
Yeah, we do have 9th versus 10th. Kieran, do you have a tie of the round that you want to highlight there?
I'm gonna go with the Durs versus Dylan matchup because I think that's gonna be a lot of pride, a lot of bragging rights is going to be available in that one, and I think they're going to send out the best lineups they possibly can for that one. They're not going to rest the big guns for their game because they both are around mid-table, aren't they? So I think they'll put out the big guns there, and they'll all guns a-blazing to try and beat the other one so they can surely brag for the rest of eternity.
Mm-hmm. Yep, the Durs Dylan derby, like it. I'm going to highlight the Arsenal fan derby. 2 mercurial managers that they're always been unpredictable fantasy managers in the leagues I've been in with them. And that's Real Major playing away at Austin Urbello. Huge away trip for Real. We'll see how he steps up there and if he can make that happen at Austin Urbello. And we'll see who's the smarter, the 2 Arsenal fans. It's kind of like who's the winning the beauty prize at Ugly Camp or whatever. Who's the smartest of the Arsenal fans? Whatever that saying is. The fittest person at Fat Camp.
Yep.
So there you go. I think that's going to do it for our Div 2 draw. Of course, waiting in the next round are Patrick, Scott, Adam, and Jacob. And we'll see which 4 of these fine gentlemen join them. Again, shout out to Div 2. It's been fun making this happen with relegation promotion. And I guess a little update on Div 2. Actually, Patrick is running away in the lead with 52 points, but it looks like everything else is still to play for. Between 2nd and 12th, we've got only 21 points, which is a lot, but for 11 teams, it's not too bad. We got 39, 36, 34, 31, 30, 28, 25, 24, 21, 19, and 18 point totals. So super tight. So we'll see how Div 2 goes for the rest of the year. But yeah, thanks for tuning into the draw here.